My friends, welcome back. Today we are once again playing with the Onewheel. Now, if you pick up a Onewheel, one of the first things that everyone who rides is going to tell you that you have to do is change the tire. Oh, you just gotta remove that stock hard compound garbage and get yourself some high performance soft compound goodness, or so they say. I haven't done it. I've been putting it off, even though everyone's been telling me it makes such a big difference. Because, you know, when I bought the Onewheel, I paid extra for the tread and tire option, and I wanted to get my money's worth. And also, I just didn't know, could it make that big of a difference? And if I was going to change it, would I get another tread and tire? Would I get the slick tire? Should I get something from Craft and Ride or the Float Life, or even Onewheel themselves is now making high performance soft compound tires? What should I do? Well, I finally pulled the trigger and went with a tire from the Float Life. This is their Street Pro 2. It's a slick tire. It's soft compound. Ooh. It's really soft. I can squish it. You can just hug this thing. Very excited to get this thing on the board. And while we're at it, we are also going to be installing a set of float blocks. Now, full disclosure, the Float Life did hook me up with an amazing deal on these parts. So big shout out to TFL. Thank you for encouraging me to tinker with the board some more and make another video about it. So let's get on with it, head back there and start tearing into the board.
I've never been the type to stay. I've been told love's a losing game, but you make it seem so easy. I know you make me wanna change, but better or worse, I can't stay the same. Yeah, you make it seem so easy.
There it goes. That was much misery. You watch the videos of the Onewheel pros changing the tires, and they make it super easy, and they're able to use just little plastic tire levers. I had to get out these big metal ones that I use for my motorcycles. Be careful with these. If you don't protect the rim, you can definitely damage it. And I also used tire lube to help the tire slip off the rim. Now, the new tire specifically says not to use lube. I'm hoping that's because this soft compound will just squish onto the rim so easily. Please just go on your spot, please. Just give it a hug. Just hug it into place. Oh, it's going on. Oh yeah, we just kind of... Woo! The new tire is seated and inflated, which means it's almost time to start putting the board back together. But first, we're going to remove the original axle blocks, because like I mentioned, we are swapping them out for these float blocks. And I'm also going to remove these heat sinks. So this piece is an aftermarket heat sink, also from the Float Life. It clamps onto the axle and provides cooling fins to help cool down the motor. But the new axle blocks actually have cooling fins integrated into them. These heat sinks are compatible with the float blocks, so if you want extra cooling, you can run both cooling systems. But we're gonna go with just the float blocks, save a little weight by removing these. And if we ever overheat or just feel like being overkill with cooling, we can always put it back on. So we've talked about the cooling feature of the float blocks, but the real reason that I'm excited about them is that, as I mentioned, they increase the strength of the axle, and they kind of do it for free. I mean, free in terms of not having to add extra parts or weight. You replace an existing part and get a free upgrade. It costs money, but what it does is it rotates the axle 90 degrees. So with the original axle blocks, these two bolt holes are oriented parallel to the ground, but perpendicular to the force of you standing on the board and going off drops. So the float blocks reorient the axle into a position that is much more efficient. If you visualize the profile of the axle as an I-beam, you can see that the original orientation is like putting it on its side, and it's much stronger if it's upright.
cover door, stars and destinations. Fixed plans for my hands couldn't fit the placement. Fell in deep inside a spiraling cave, no flash. Mine was in a place of a grave to hold past, but I came from the quicksand. Did the impossible, grabbing onto new plans. I'm lovable, it's plausible to be who I am. No silver or gold. I have a hand to hold, even if it looks like my own. Cause I'm doing.
So this is not actually my first ride out with the new gear. That was my original plan. We'd put everything together, we'd go out and ride, give you guys some first impressions, but honestly, my first impressions were kind of underwhelming.
Gotta breathe my surroundings and follow my nose. I put the paint on the wall, showing all that I know I won't stop.
Some fear up ahead.
Let me clarify. I don't mean that I didn't like the new tire per se. I wasn't disappointed. I just couldn't necessarily feel a difference from the stock tire. And the thing, when you watch other review videos, they put the tire on, they go out, and they're like night and day difference. So I think I definitely had those elevated expectations, but I got out there, rode the new tire, and it's kind of like, I don't know if I can feel a difference. So I was like, what's the deal? Why is everyone telling me this is the best thing you can do to a one wheel if I couldn't really feel a difference? I think one thing about the GT in particular compared to other one wheel models, the outer diameter of the tire is the same, but the diameter of the rim got bigger, which means smaller sidewall, which means there's less height for the squishy tire to do its squishy thing. What I'm saying is I think a softer compound tire will make a smaller difference on a GT compared to some of the other one wheel models. But still, people put these tires on a GT and say it's the best thing you can do. So I kind of had another thought, and that is the realization that, whoa, I'm not as experienced as some of these other riders that I've been watching on YouTube and talking to, and I may just not have enough time on the board to have developed the sensitivity that they have. So what I decided to do is give it some more time. Let's ride it for a bit, develop a more well-rounded opinions. Almost didn't make that. So that's what I did. I rode the board for, it's been a couple weeks, and having put some more miles on this tire, I can say I do love this tire. It does make a difference. It just took me some like getting used to, or I guess I should say just maybe not thinking about it as much. But as I just rode it and just kind of got back into enjoying the flow, trying tricks, I just sort of started finding that like there were all these little things, like I would ride over something and it would occur to me that, oh gosh, that bump I really would have felt and it would have really disturbed the board, and it rolled over it a lot easier now. And I mean, that's exactly what you would expect from the softer compound. The tire is gonna squish more, give you kind of more of like a suspension effect. And so just, I started realizing that more and more little cracks or bumps in the road, it took it a lot more better, and I just started having more confidence, and I started realizing like, I'm riding faster than I used to. And I think more than anything on one wheels, I enjoy doing the tricks. And what I found is I feel like I'm learning a lot more kind of faster. So I'm not necessarily saying that the tire makes tricks easier. I'm just saying that I've got this confidence, I'm trying new things, I've been pushing more, and just having a great time.
But could we stay the same? I'm liking it this way, way.
The trade-off with going with the slick tire versus a treaded one is that you're gonna lose some off-road performance, which is why I originally opted for the treaded tire from the factory. I ended up finding I don't do that much off-road riding. I mean, I've gone to some trails here and there. It is a lot of fun, but I think what I enjoy most is cruising around the street and doing more of those kind of skateboard style tricks. And I feel that with a slick tire, you probably get more like squish to the tire. The ridges in a tread, like if you think about cardboard, it's got ridges and that makes it stiff. So I don't want to ride on cardboard. I wanted to ride on tissue paper. I don't know if that exactly makes sense. So I haven't actually taken this to a trail and done some proper off-road trail riding. You know, I've just been hitting patches of grass and, you know, little gravel bits here and there, and the tire does fine. Either tire can do either thing fine. It's just about dialing in that little bit of extra happiness on whichever terrain you actually spend more time on and enjoy more. While I said I couldn't feel like a night and day difference, I can definitely visualize how a softer tire would help a lot with curb nudges, because it can just like squish onto the corner of the tire more and like provide some more bite. I did almost forget, if there was one area where I did feel more of an immediate difference, it was with slides. Oh, it's very counterintuitive to me because I would have thought softer tire is more sticky. I was worried that was going to provide resistance as I was trying to slide along, and it doesn't. I don't know. I think it slides better. Don't know why. Maybe it's in my head. I don't know. And, you know, take anything I'm saying for what it's worth. Like, my slides aren't the longest. Oh, that one was not bad. Oh. If anyone has any ideas on how to make those like grabby, you know, those like tricks better, let me know. I just think mine never look good. I'm always just like so awkward, like, ugh. I don't know. I'm also just very much awkwardly in the middle of traffic. So we did 2 mods. We did the tire and we did the float blocks. And I've only really said anything about the tire. And that's because the float blocks, you're not really gonna feel a difference. Like, it's not gonna change the ride in any way. It's just kind of a preventative measure to make the axle stronger, or I guess I should say, use the axle in a more optimized way to reduce your chances of breaking the axle. I just now feel like I can worry about it a little bit less if I'm doing big drops. I don't really do big drops, but if I want to do a big drop, I can be more confident. I mean, you know, curb nudges are actually pretty rough on the axle too. You're like running the board into the curb. The sun has gone down because it is unfortunately that time of the year when the clocks have moved and it just gets dark so early, so there's less time to get out and do the things that you love. But I hope wherever you guys are, whatever it is that you're into, you're still finding ways to get out and enjoy life. Do appreciate you guys coming here, hanging out, riding with me. Can you even see? It's so dark. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.